Masculinity is confusing and I've been masculinity is confusing.
So there's just people online taking that one clip and just editing what they think is masculine.
You know, listen, I am a wokester, okay?
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
let me also say there's part of me that sees these videos and like, some of that shit is cool as f***.
It's time to get wild.
That was wild.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Adam from That Was Wild. I just want to jump in here real quick before we start the show. Welcome to That Was Wild. I'm Adam Macias, and this episode is going to be wild. Welcome to the show. If you've never been here before, this is That Was Wild, where I talk to my wildly funny friends about the wild things happening in the world, and we try to have a wild time while doing it. This episode is very special because I'm talking to Hal Rudnick, the insanely funny comedian and friend and mentor and ex-boss of mine. I used to produce his podcast, Binge Boys, with Lon Harris, where they talked about the things they were binging. And I was very fortunate to have that gig during the pandemic, and it helped my family. And he was a very cool boss. This is the first time having a boss on the show. So shout out. Maybe I'll have Elon Musk on one day. Nope. Gonna cut that. Or maybe I'll leave it on. Who knows? Anyway, speaking of bosses, this show is Boss as Hell. I'm talking to Hal Rudnick about his boss-ass show, Jersey Devil, where he dives deep into his wild dad's story, who is a gambler, I guess a posthumously diagnosed sociopath and psychopath. And on the pod, he tells us some crazy stories that aren't even in the show. And we dive in deep into this weird trend that I found online. That's this thing where they're like making fun of this like little snippet of a poetry slam from this British poet. So we dive in deep into that about what is masculinity and what the frick is going on here. This episode is wild and fun. But before we get on the show, I just want to do two things. My last week of Fringe is happening right now. I have two shows on June 27th and June 29th. June 27th is my birthday. June 29th is my sober birthday. It would mean so much to me if you came to either one of those shows. June 29th would mean so much to me, mainly because I get to celebrate at the end of that one. I get to celebrate. Everything's going to be done. I'm going to take a long break, and I get to just kind of decompress. It's been a whirlwind of a month. I've seen so many amazing Fringe shows, so many good shows happening while this crazy things are happening in the world and in LA especially. And it's just weird hope and lack of hope and all this good stuff. But all that to say, it's been a wild month, and I'm looking forward to the 30th where I can relax. So speaking of that, there will be no show next week. I'm going to take a break. So if you want to catch me on the 27th or the 29th. If not, I will see you all in July. But let's not get sad too soon. Let's talk to Hal Rudnick, and let's dive deep into masculinity. All right, let's get wild.
You're a new dad, right? You're
Yes.
recently new dad?
Happy to talk about that as well.
Are you, how old's you have a daughter? Or
Yeah, I have a daughter who's 22 months old. She'll be 2 years old in
22.
in August.
How
I'll show
long
you a quick picture.
Yeah, how long do you keep counting the months? When are you going to stop counting the months?
You know, I think 2 years is a good.
Okay, 24.
Yeah, I think at 2 years.
You're all like 36 years old.
But people do that. You know, people keep going and going.
Yeah.
30. That sounds weird.
48 months.
Yes.
I'm very excited to talk to you today, my very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very crazy time. And in the world. But let's talk about today's guest because this episode is called That Was Wild, and I'm here to talk about my very, very special, fun, very special guest. He is, this guy, he's all over the place. He's an actor, writer, comedian who you've seen on Screen Junkies, Reno 911, and one of the greatest scenes on one of the greatest TV shows of all time where he played Dennis on the show Community. He was an AC repair specialist. It is Hal freaking Rudnick, everybody.
Adam, great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. What an intro. I love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
well, thank you so much for coming on the show. You also have a Fringe show, which is why we're talking. We're
Hollywood Fringe Festival 2025, baby.
And one of the most, what's more Hollywood than the Hollywood Fringe Festival? Just, it's a glitz and glamour. That's flashing lights, the red carpet, really.
The black boxes of the theaters.
But one thing I really, really wanted to talk to you about, your show, Jersey Devil, and it's relevant to being a father, and stuff is about your father. And my show is about my father.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be weird. My show is about your father.
Interesting. I didn't know you two were even acquainted. That's wild. That is wild.
That is wild. But so your show, Jersey Devil, a dead dad comedy. Also, wow. My show's about my dead dad. Crazy. But also, so let's hear about your show. What's it about?
Absolutely. Well, it is about my father. And let me tell you, my dad, he lived several lives. He was a Marine, a concert producer, a compulsive gambler who lost millions of dollars, and a burglar and a thief. And
that is such an insane list of things to do.
He had quite a resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he put it on a resume?
What is he going to talk about on career day? I wish he would have come into my to my elementary school and talked about stealing people's belongings while they were in the water at the local swimming pool, which was one of the things that he would do.
Wild.
He was a bit of a beachcomber.
Beachcomber.
Yeah, you know about beachcombing?
Yeah, like he would go around on like grab people's wallets and stuff while they were out on the ocean.
Oh yeah, you're in the water and your valuables are up on the blanket or towel while Roger Rudnick is around. Bad idea.
Roger Rudnick is a great kind of like
Roger Rudnick. Yeah.
Hi everybody.
Hey, it's me, Big Raj. He called himself Big Raj.
Truthfully, I know a little bit about your dad because here's a little peek behind the curtain. I don't know if you remember. You were one of my first guests on the first version of this podcast.
Yes.
During COVID times.
Did I do a character as well?
You told a story. You kind of did. Well, I don't know if you remember.
It's all a blur. COVID times, I mean.
COVID times, we were doing a version of the show where you told a wild story of your dad.
Right.
Where you talked about the I'm assuming was a big part of the show.
Yeah.
Where you went to Wrigley Field.
Oh, the World Series.
Series.
And he got mugged.
Where you something about the ashes and stuff.
Oh, yes, that. Okay.
You did do that.
Yeah, that is part of the show. So my brothers and I went on a pilgrimage to honor our very complicated father by making good on his final request of having his ashes spread on the baseball field of his favorite baseball team, the Minnesota Twins. Target Field, Minneapolis, Minnesota. My father was a maniacal Twins fan. All of our family vacations would be to just go watch Twins games in the summertime.
A maniacal Twins fan is such a funny phrase. Oh my gosh.
Like you don't hear it.
Like a maniacal.
He, through sheer persistence, he became friends with players, coaches, and people who worked in the front office.
Just because he needed to be their friends.
Yes, he needed that. He called, he showed up.
Wow.
He went to the hotels where the players would stay at on the road and try to meet them and talk to them and curry favor.
And did you ever find out if any of them were a little maybe frightened by this at all? Or
well, I'll tell you a quick story that's not in the show.
Okay.
There's an ESPN personality currently named Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mad Dog. And
Mad Dog.
Mad Dog Sports. He has his own Sirius XM channel.
Yeah.
So he used to be a talk radio host on WFAN New York sports station. My father would call up all the time and Mad Dog would greet him. All right, Roger from New Haven is on the air. Roger from New Haven. How you doing? Mad Dog, I want to talk about the Minnesota Twins and I wanted to talk about the Detroit Red Wings hockey. And he'd also talk about old movies. And my father would call up so much, he became friendly with Chris Russo.
Yeah.
And then they would meet in person and my father would bring him gifts. My dad lived on a fixed income, paycheck to paycheck, but he would spend beyond his means to buy expensive old movie posters, like 1950s Casablanca movie poster or whatever for Christopher Russo in order to impress him, because my dad was a star fucker. But you said, did he ever creep any of them out?
Yeah.
So my dad had this relationship with Chris Russo, and he wanted it to go he wanted to be best friends with him. And my dad was calling him. Chris Russo wasn't returning his call. And my dad found out that Chris Russo was in New York City. He lived in Connecticut, but he was staying at a hotel in New York City for an event. And my dad found out that he was at this hotel.
Oh my God.
He found out the hotel room.
Oh no.
And my father called his room. He didn't show up. My father was visually impaired.
How did your dad find all this
Called
out? This is all before the internet.
Yes.
How did he do this?
Or actually, the internet was around.
Oh,
But my
okay.
dad did not use the internet. He was visually impaired, and it was very hard for him.
That's even more impressive.
Yeah. He was resourceful.
The riz on this guy.
Oh yeah, all the riz in the world to
Yeah.
navigate and find and end
Yeah.
up. So yeah, he'd get on the phone and fully charismatic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
The confidence man. That's why they call him.
he was
yeah.
a confidence man.
Yeah.
And he was, I talk about, I'm jumping around a little bit. I talk about in the show how he was diagnosed through me recounting stories and his behavior to a couple of therapists with antisocial personality disorder, which is essentially sociopathy. And a hallmark of that is being charismatic.
Yeah.
So yeah, he found out by calling the radio station, I guess, somehow he found out the hotel, and yeah, that was the death knell of the relationship. That my father stalking him by phone.
Yeah. That's a little stalkish.
Fully
Yeah.
stalkery.
Yeah.
Fully
It
stalkerish.
kind of reminds me, the way you're talking about it reminds me of that Robert De Niro film, the
Fan with
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes and
Like,
Robert De Niro.
Didn't
yeah.
he play for the Twins on that? I think
He played for the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, the Giants. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, but my dad, that is my dad, without the murder,
Yeah.
he never tried to stab anyone to death that I know
That
of.
we know of. That we know.
Yes.
But so yeah, we quick just to rewind back there. You told a little bit of that story about how you spread
My father's ashes
on the
and
ashes.
Yeah, my brothers and I went on this trip. My father's sons from a previous marriage. We didn't grow up together. They are literally my brothers from another mother. And
Yeah.
we went to Target Field in Minneapolis. It was a great bonding experience. We didn't know how we'd get on the field to sprinkle my dad's ashes. Part of me was like, okay, am I going to have to like break into the stadium at 2 a.m.? I mean, that would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Did you ever see The Town with Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
Yeah, like dress up like a policeman and go underneath. And,
Or a nun. That would have been. I
Or
mean,
a nun.
they probably would have let the nuns in. Well, they probably would have let both.
yeah,
let's be honest.
then I could have gone from Target Field and then to rob Fenway Park.
Yeah. Wait. So all of that is in the show. I'm assuming with the ashes.
Yeah,
and stuff like
that journey
Yeah.
is part of the spine of the show. We come back to that 3 times, a rule of 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And is you doing my podcast part of the show?
Yes, this is part of. I'm
The
going to
first
ask
part
you
of the
for
first
this
podcast
video.
Okay,
yes,
great. Okay. I think you wore a wig at some point. I wore a wig at some point. It was crazy.
Oh
Guys,
yeah.
it was
So there
COVID.
was character.
Yeah,
stuff.
there was. Yeah. But it was a wild time, and I was very excited to hear about it because. That was I loved that story. I'm
thank
very
you.
excited for that show.
Yeah, it was a satisfying experience.
Are all of your brothers from different mothers or?
So my brothers, they have the same mom and dad. I share the same dad with my brothers, and then I have half sisters who I
Okay.
share the same mom with, but a different dad.
Okay. Oh wow. So very complicated. all
Yeah,
over
my
the
mom had
place.
3 daughters. My father had 2 sons, and they got together to form kind of a weird Brady Bunch style
Brady Bunch
combo.
And you were just the one.
Yeah, I was just the one. Yeah,
Wild.
the one between my mom and dad.
So in this in theme of this month, this is one of the last episodes of this theme. We're talking about
Pride Month.
Pride Month, of course.
Mhm.
Being proud of whoever you are, and I'm very proud of my messy life.
Yes.
And it sounds like maybe you might have had a kind of a messy life, but
yeah.
I'm gonna-
And it's funny that you say that because a theme that I touch on in the show is like, what's the opposite of pride? Shame. I live my life with so much shame.
Yeah.
So much. My mom and I, her favorite word was mortified. She was always mortified
Oh.
by our father's behavior, by my father's behavior. But part of it is I'm not ashamed anymore.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's part of the journey.
That's
in the
part
show.
of the journey.
Yeah,
How long were they together?
25 years, and they got
Wow.
they got divorced when I graduated high school.
Same here, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I'm glad I got to grow up in a household with two parents who screamed at each other. High level screaming. Neighbors would call the cops sometimes.
Yeah. I had my whole thing is like I kind of grew up in like I would describe it as it was dysfunctional. Is a ratchet family.
Okay.
I grew up. I describe it kind of like a pro wrestling match. You know,
Yeah.
it was always just like, it was crazy, but like kind of addictive and entertaining a little bit, just like what's going on, so you knew how to walk on eggshells. I legitimately think I'm really good at like not making a peep around the house. Like my wife, she kind of stomps around the house, and I was like, must be because you grew up in a nice house. Because I know how to like quietly sneak around. Know how to not to make some noise in my house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. I know not to make noise. You know what I'm saying?
I can relate to that, and there are certain ways that I want to control my temper and my just the way I comport myself in certain ways. Because I grew up around some chaos.
Yes, chaos.
Yeah,
100% chaos. This is what I think of, and this is one of the analogy that I like to use for a dysfunctional family. Let me know what you think of that. Dysfunctional family is kind of like it's chaos. People, people gravitate towards it sometimes because it's like you can't just look away, and then sometimes when you grow up in it, you get used to it so much. It's kind of like that warm, scratchy blanket that your grandma gave you that for some reason you never get rid of it, but you just have it. And you remember, everybody has that scratchy blanket with like the little satin at the end, and we all have that scratchy blanket. And honestly, when I think of grandma, I remember that scratchy blanket, and I hated that blanket. But you know what? I still have it. I have that blanket.
I think that's a great analogy, and I think it applies to a lot of things that are destructive yet familiar.
Yeah.
For example, I've applied a similar view to my anxiety and panic attacks, which I've have gotten better over the years. But I hate them. But it's also the anxiety is familiar to me, so it's like I don't want it, but also I revel in it for
sometimes it's your toxic trait. Like sometimes you want to do it. Sometimes it's like let's do it. Sometimes you ever look at a Karen, you're like, yeah, I get it. You're like, nah. Yeah, no, you want to yell at everybody at the Vons. No, I got it. No, I know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, sometimes I'll go down the rabbit hole with Karen videos, or like Karen goes too far with police officer winds up in handcuffs. That's always fun.
Like, come on, like I was just making a left turn. You can't tell me what to do. It's like, no, I know,
and then she bumps him, and all right, you're going in cuffs. You're coming in.
It's like, yeah. I legitimately, it's like I get it. I've been there. So when you say he was a sociopath, was he fun at all? Like, did you have fun? Yeah. So
absolutely. I mean, he was funny. I didn't want to laugh. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of seeing me, but yeah, he would like. I don't touch on this a ton in the show, but he would go on these monologues sometimes.
Oh, really?
We'd be at the barbershop, and he'd be like, the barbershop used to be the meeting place in the neighborhood. Everyone would come to get their news at the barbershop. They'd talk about what's going on in the world, what's going on in the town. And, how come they don't do that anymore? And we'd be at this barbershop with we always went to get our hair cut by this Italian man named Carmen. And then he'd also talk about, my father would go on and on about the age-old art of lobby sitting. I told you he'd go meet these baseball players. We'd sit he'd say, what you do is, you go to the hotel lobby where the players are staying, and you sit.
What the fuck?
Lobby sitting.
So stalking.
And then when the lobby stalking. And then when the players come down, you you go and meet them. Hi, how are you? Shake a hand, get an autograph. Oh,
You
the age-old art of lobby sitting.
that sounds like the King of Comedy.
Oh,
Another
little bit.
Robert De Niro movie.
Yes, yes. Listen,
You know,
there's
the end-
definitely a little bit of Rupert Pupkin.
Yeah, a little Rupert Pumpkin there, you know.
In my dad.
I mean, I don't want to discourage. I mean, I don't know how much willing to discourage your dad a little bit there, but yeah, that's an interesting.
Oh no, I disparage the shit out of him in the show. Listen, and I don't mind it because, like, listen, I learned to love him unconditionally, but he teased me growing up.
Really?
He would say like I'd come home from school and be upset because people made fun of me because I'm a hirsute. I'm
Kind of
hairy,
a hairy dude.
and I was this
Yeah.
hairy when I was like a kid, practically. And my dad would say, "You hairy ape."
He just call you a hairy ape.
Yeah, mustache face. When I was in 5th grade, and
And that was him
twisting that was him deriving joy at my misfortune, at my feeling bad. Yeah, teasing.
Do you find?
Why do people tease?
Do you think your dad? This is what I think. My dad, I found, even though he was kind of a dick, and he was kind of an asshole as well.
Yeah.
And I talk about this a lot in my show. He was always roasting people as well. You know,
Yeah.
he has a stone cold Steve Austin energy. You know, like he was just walk into a room. He's like, "What's up? Happy Thanksgiving. Here's a bird for you." You know.
Yeah.
You know, they're very much wrestling character type.
Yes.
But at the same time, he also, I know at his core, thinking back at it as I've been writing the show, I'm just like, I think though, he still was trying to do better than his dad.
yeah.
Do you at all think, given all your dad's faults or whatever, you
Mhm.
think there was some version of him that he was focused on changing something about how his dad treated him at all? And you don't have to get too nitty gritty, but
Yeah.
yes.
Yes and no. No, in as much as I feel like his dad was a bit neglectful and absentee, and the result was a wounded child.
You say that
that's-
in your
that-
description, like a wounded child.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He was a bit of a wounded child, and on the flip side, because his father wasn't there, you know, he did, in his own way, like want to spend time showing me old movies, taking me to baseball games.
Okay.
We did fun things like around all the trauma, and sometimes the trauma and the fun went hand in hand.
Mm.
Like sometimes it would be fun, trauma.
But
You
where
never
he
knew.
was correcting was the one thing that you, so the correction was not the absentee.
But then he was absentee at times. I mean, he was just so unpredictable. There was no rhyme or reason. But night and day to his father. His father was like a captain of industry. He had a successful business, and he was wealthy. Owned a big paper company in New York City, like his own
Oh.
Dunder Mifflin.
He was literally Dunder Mifflin.
Yes.
Yeah. Crazy.
But I think because he was neglectful, he gave my father money and showed his money with love. And then my father did that as well. He would, my sisters called me a spoiled brat because I would get all sorts of toys. I don't know.
Yeah, you were the baby, right?
I was the baby.
Yeah, the baby
Still
gets,
am.
gets all the toys.
No, I'm not the baby anymore. My actual baby's the baby.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so
Yes.
I mean that's the tricky part. So going back on the dad stuff, that's the tricky part, right? Like it's like trying to figure out like me as a I'm gonna be a fucking father to a son.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thanks so much,
Adam.
man. Thank you. That's the tricky
Amazing
part.
stuff.
But I'm like, I was excited. I was just like, whoa. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I get a chance to like redo I get a chance to like do the things in my show where I was like, I put my money where my mouth is and try to like, I don't know, improve a child, I guess,
Yeah.
raise a boy to be a better boy, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, fuck, that's a lot of pressure. Or I don't know. Like, I think, I don't know, girls maybe inherently have a little bit of like a, they get the, if this was D&D, they get a a +1 on intelligence and wisdom, and boys get a -1
Yeah,
right
I
off
mean
the gate.
the maturity scale, and just in general
Yes,
in life.
in general. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
they
from
don't
one
get,
dude to another.
Yeah.
But just as far as putting our best foot forward and not repeating the sins of the fathers.
Yeah.
First off, I'm glad my mental illness does not manifest in the way my dad's.
Yes.
Like,
therapy, psychiatry,
yes.
and having an outlet.
Abs-
Already way more than my dad has ever done. So
Absolutely.
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, same. And I show up for my daughter every day, and I take joy in it, and I never want her to feel unsafe.
Yeah. That's the goal. That's cool. And that's I'm very happy for you, man.
Thanks,
I remember
thanks.
we've been, working together for quite a long time now,
Yeah.
and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. No, my wife and I feel super lucky, super blessed.
So fucking amazing, man. And gosh, it's just, I'm happy for the show. I'm literally so fucking stoked for the show.
Right back at you,
Dude, this episode came out just after your birthday. So happy birthday.
Hey, thank you so much.
So I do want to talk to you. So you are a famously good character performer.
Thanks, man.
Like such a good character performer. You teach characters at UCB. You were on the Groundling Sunday Company, correct?
Yes.
So yeah, you've obviously turned some of your heartache into content.
Yeah.
Right. How much of your content would you say is driven from your real life?
Well, it's funny. I would say over the course of my life, so many of my characters are born out of my dad's larger than life personality.
Interesting.
But they were just kind of weird offshoots because he was kind of this big personality, this classic New York East Coast guy,
Yeah.
Roger Rudnick. But so I would be always throughout my life doing little different offshoots of him, but never quite him. So in this show, it's the first time when I'm really bringing him to life. But also, to answer your question, very little as well.
Really?
Especially when I was at the Groundlings or when I was sketch writing, I would always like to come up with, wild or observational or something larger than life.
Right.
And be a little bit less introspective when it came to creating comedy,
Uh-huh.
which now, I'm learning the power of it because using your own lived experience is truth in comedy, that is something that will resonate for an audience.
One of my favorite characters of yours is the Wizard, who my mother,
Caramel the Wizard.
who my mother-in-law tried to book for a birthday.
Yes, I wanted to, and then it was.
I've never had that done before. I've never had.
Yes, I performed that
Never had a
Wizard. We were at a show.
Yeah.
And I was approached by your mother-in-law afterwards. Yeah, that Wizard would talk to people, ask them their names, and come up with little rhyming spells to help them with certain problems.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. And is that one based on reality, or is that just kind of like a fun one that you came up with?
Well, my uncle was a wizard in King Arthur's court. The truth of the matter is I had the wizard hat and a fanciful beard, and I just started mucking around with it. And it
you
came
had
together.
been doing that one in the pandemic for a while, right?
Yes, I did it online in the pandemic. And I was doing a streaming show for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'd bring him there. And then I started doing them out at some comedy shows.
You did it at my show.
Yes.
And I think that's where she saw it. I was just like, he's not actually a magician, like he's just a comic anyways, whatever. It was.
And then I had fun doing that Avatar character at your show too.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, do you ever bust that one out? You're waiting for the next one?
Maybe waiting for the next one, and
wait 10 more years.
He was an Avatar super fan.
So good. All right, I wanted to show you one more thing here.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so we're talking a lot about masculinity and mandom.
Sure.
It's
sure.
very big.
The manosphere.
Manosphere is big online.
Oh yeah.
All right.
You an Andrew Tate guy?
Big love anything that has to do with Tate. I just Google it constantly.
Oh yeah.
I got a big Google alert for Tate. But anyways, so I it's just kind of just was like Googling masculinity, as I do every now and then. But I found this kid, this like weird edit of videos, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. And I think this is a fun thing to end on.
Sure.
So
Masculinity's confusing and I mean masculinity's confused.
So just to go back real quick,
Masculinity's
what we're seeing is somebody performing and there's music underneath it, and he's saying masculinity is confusing.
masculinity's confusing and I mean masculinity's confused.
Cut to just very, very typical masculinity,
Yes.
Man stuff.
Little Metallica,
boxing, and what I found so interesting about
superhero like
the Hulk
like action sequences. Yep.
and what I found so interesting about this is that there's a lot of these.
Masculinity's confused.
So there's just people online taking that one clip and just editing what they think is masculine.
Yeah, and it's
So there
such
is
lowest
no-
common denominator, simple stuff like what? It's confusing.
There's
Fuck you, dummy. Masculinity is about just going hard.
There's
going hard in the paint.
There's
That's
nothing
it.
There's nothing confusing about masculinity. This is what masculinity is about.
Beast mode. That's fucking it. Masculinity is going beast mode.
It's about cars, boobs, and
guns, explosions, punching fuck faces in the fucking face.
and yelling at people.
Confusing and I mean masculinity's confused.
Now I can't tell if this is serious or if it's tongue in cheek because it seems like a parody of itself, but it also seems like what, Charlie Kirk or some idiot might ascribe to
the
masculinity.
Comments are hell yeah button.
Okay, let me, listen, I am like a wokester, okay?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
let me also say there's part of me that sees these videos and like, some of that shit is cool as fuck.
The
You know,
T-Rex,
but it over, I think, let me heavy-handedly state the problem.
Right.
It's I think part of a healthy part of masculinity is being emotionally in touch and being able to allow others to exist in the world. I think you wouldn't have as much issue with gender and like people's problems with it if the real masculine dudes were totally fine coexisting with someone who was a cisgender high femme individual, or just allowed for differences and allowed more of live and let live.
Yeah.
And this is so one-sided. These are so narrow.
Yes.
That's why I'm like, is this a joke or is it scarily real? That this is the only view. This is like this narrow view of what a man could be.
Masculinity is so obviously this. It's like, no, I think it's like masculinity can be anything. Modern masculinity, I think it's like what this is what I wanted to talk to you about is like what we have learned from like maybe that hey, like why are we trying to repeat the bad, like we all had bad fathers. This is what I was trying to like be like our government, our world is ran by like bad dads, right?
Yeah, the patriarchy.
The patriarchy is bad dads. Like, why are we trying to like all of these policies? Everything that's being created right now is being ran by like people who were created by like survivors of terrible dysfunctional families, right? And we're all acting like, oh, like it's going to be the same, but it's like, y'all, we all grew up with Barney. We all grew up with Care Bear. You're going to ask me. You're going to tell me right now you didn't cry when the Care Bears saved that fucking evil rich kid? You're going to tell me right now when they said Care Bear hug and they fucking stop that evil rich kid from fucking destroying the world? You're going to tell me right now that a whole fucking Generation X didn't do that? When Donald Trump dies, Donald Trump Jr. ain't going to be that fucking loudmouth bitch. I'm going to tell you that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, we could be like toxic masculinity, but like once they go away, it's gone. And it's going to be gone.
But I do think there are people that are going to repeat the sins of the father.
Totally. And that there is a shelf. It's just like, like it's called toxic for a reason. Like it's, it's good. It's poisonous.
Yes.
And it's hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, God, y'all, let's just remember we did learn this stuff. Like, we all know it didn't work. Like, let's remember who our dads are, Let's remember who they are. Like, we're not good. Well, why are we trying to repeat it?
But I think the current world is all about not remembering properly.
Totally. Yeah.
Make America great again. When was America great?
Yeah.
I
don't know, man.
2008,
I thought that was pretty great. Lumineers, New Girl, loved it. It was so good.
Yes. Listen, there have been good times, there have been bad times. It's a real mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's a real mixed bag. And if you forget the past, but like, listen, the current crop of folks are pretty damn good at forgetting the past.
Yeah.
And, from doing stuff like, turning this into a political podcast, but like, taking Jackie Robinson off the Armed Forces website, honoring, like, talk about the epitome of a hero.
It is a level of narcissism and toxicity that is, I feel like, especially with this kind of, you mentioned wokeness, it's a reaction to wokeness.
Yeah, which is really just empathy,
Yeah. Taylor Lorenz had a great piece on it very recently. She's a great journalist who is now specifically just on YouTube, but she pretty much was like, 2020 was probably one of the most socially conscious years in America. We had the government was giving us money. We were supporting each other. Our taxes were actually doing something for us. We became socially conscious. We were protesting. The government was listening to us, and we were worried about each other's health. Yes, people were backlashing about it against, and we were working on a future where the world was, we're trying to, focus on family and staying home and maybe thinking outside of, maybe capitalism isn't the best, like there was a pause on everything. And since then, it has been a reaction of being like, no, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So I think what that is this last dying fight of like, Donald Trump said it on when he visited Capitol Hill very recently. He was just like, that wokeness stuff is over, and it's like, that's toxic masculinity for you. Like, I'm coming in, daddy's home. That's literally their fucking message right now.
Yep.
And so, speaking of CEO mindset, well, actually, let's just do one more of these because they're hilarious.
I love it.
Hell yeah, by the way.
Whoa.
Okay, so this is one of them.
Masculinity is confusing and I mean masculinity is confusing.
Yes.
What's confusing about this, brother? Come on, brother.
Going hard.
Come on, brother.
Muscle cars. Punches
muscle
in
men,
faces.
beer, jets.
Yeah, Top Gun shit. A tank.
T-Rex have been mentioned in every one of these. I think it's so funny.
I could be wrong. Aren't like a lot of the T-Rexes like the female of the species?
Yeah.
Like the larger, more terrifying ones?
True. Also, I will say, aren't these all kind of just, so we got T-Rex, tanks, jets, superheroes.
Muscle cars.
Those are all stuff for kids. Boys. Yeah. Those are all toys. Guys, those are all toys.
The simplest.
Those are all,
yes.
Guys, those are all toys.
Yeah. This is a this is a child's view.
This is that's all for children, guys.
Unevolved. Yeah.
But
okay. Also so cool as fuck.
So sick. Honestly, yeah. But okay, so I did do some. I was like, who the hell is this kid? They're making fun of this poor kid. Let me see if I can.
Seemed British. He sounded British.
Yeah, and he's a poet. His name is Sean Brown. He's a really good poet. I think he was made fun of so much they took down his original video. At least I couldn't find that one. But
Well, that first, he's wearing the same outfit.
it's a different. Yeah, it was a different one. But this is the same poem.
Gotcha.
So this is the poem.
Oh, cool.
It's called the CEO Mindset.
Right on.
I lost my religion and replaced it with a bad faith. You see, the CEO mindset ain't just an Instagram page. It's the time we wake up. It's the way we lift weights. It's the podcast we pray to and the supplements we take. Not
for
just
this
the
podcast.
ice baths, but the Bitcoin trades. Not just the joyless existence, but its driving pain. Not just the slurs we use, but the women we hate. Not just the money, it's the division we make. Like how Stephen Bartlett would drown a child in fuel for a martyr campaign, but he'd cry the whole time just to make you feel safe. Like how when I look in the mirror, I spit on my face. Cause I ain't a real man, that's what David Goggins says. Cause I got out of bed at 8 today. I didn't put creatine in my fucking cornflakes. And I'm only 14, but Peterson showed me the way. Masculinity's confusing, and I've been taking the lion's mane. But I don't feel like a lion, Mr. Tate. How do I speak to women without them walking away? Cause I keep telling them that the CEO mindset ain't just an Instagram page.
So
This is good.
they were making fun of him for this. This shit is fire.
Yes.
That's the hell yeah.
But he's roasting the stuff they
Yeah.
ascribe to.
Yeah, yeah.
Those that chose to make
I
fun
think
of
like,
that.
can we just maybe? I think I'm just gonna re-edit this and like maybe throw some like Jurassic Park shit underneath. Just,
Yeah.
just for. I mean, like, what's wrong with?
No.
we could also have Jurassic Park and some cars on top of it. Like, why
he
not?
is verbally going beast mode.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
he dude is spitting.
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
He's like driving a muscle car through some stanzas right now for sure.
And like he's poking fun at all of these people who are charlatans.
Oh, yeah.
Who are emotionally devoid, and they're playing characters, and their business is often about suckering people.
Oh, it's a grift. 100%.
The Hustlers University.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just preying on people. It's preying on people who are so desperate for connection that they pay for people for connection, which, you know, I've been a young man and I've wanted to.
So have I.
And, you know, that would be crazy if you weren't, right? But
Yeah.
we just grew this way.
Mhm.
Can I tell you something? When I think of these Andrew Tate types and these people that were young and wanted to be and want to learn how to be a masculine man.
Yeah.
I think one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me. I was 18 years old and I was like, how do I be masculine? I don't know how to do it. I grew up with this dad. I was like, I don't want to be like my dad. He's a fucking nightmare man.
Yeah.
But I want to be a good man.
Mhm.
But I also don't want to. I don't know what to do. And I remember going into a bookstore. It was I just went on a random bookshelf, and I just grabbed a book. And you know what the book said? I swear to God, this was the book.
What's that?
How to be a man according to God's Bible.
Wow.
I swear to God, that was the book. And I was like, yeah, no, fuck that. And I put it back in the bookshelf. I was like, no, I'll do it without it.
Okay, yeah. Let's. I'd rather explore.
And then I became a drug addict and drank a lot. So I don't know.
I hear you. I hear you.
I was so spooked out. I was just like, this is exactly. I'm like, the odds of finding.
So you just like, without looking at it, you put your hand out, grabbed a book.
There wasn't. It was just. I don't think I was in the religion section.
How to? You didn't
I was
even
just.
know. You
I was just
random.
walking. And I was just like. I was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna grab a book. How to be a man according to the Bible. Fucking nuts, dude.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's a very specific way that I think is, maybe some pros, but maybe some cons.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that,
And then it's-
listen, the 10 Commandments, not bad things to live by, but.
But then even then, I was just like obviously it's gonna be like hate gay people inside here. So that's why I was like, I put it back. So I was like, I don't want that.
Oh yeah, how to be a man? Yeah, according to the Bible.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's just like you can have softness, you can have sweetness, you can have layers as a man.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
The intolerance is vexing.
Yeah. But speaking of vexing, this has not been vexing. This has been a goddamn delight. Are you ready to play one last game before we head out?
I'd like to.
Okay, so we're gonna play the Wild Wheel.
I saw that wheel there. I was just intrigued from the
get-go, right? Okay, so this every little tile there has a game. According to it, and once you give it a spin, I will explain what that game is.
Big money, no whammies.
Give it a big old spin. Wild flowers, awesome. This is another listening exercise.
All right.
So I'm gonna go on my Instagram real quick.
Was that an emasculating spin?
Hey, we can have layers.
Thank you.
You can be a hairy man, but also maybe you don't can pull wheels very strongly. I don't know.
I'd like to come back another time and pull that wheel a little stronger.
Yeah, maybe
maybe next year's Fringe.
We'll work. Go to the gym a few times and stuff. Okay, so a friend of mine recently submitted some stories about his work experience, his messy work experience. But this one is a story about them working at Home Depot. And some crazy stories about there. So our goal is to give this person their flowers.
Yes.
Give them their compliments. Okay?
I love it.
So we're going to listen to them and, give them their compliments for whatever is about to happen in this story.
Yes.
One of the funniest things that I experienced was I actually almost started a fire twice.
Okay.
In the first year and a half. Actually last year as well.
Right off the bat, love that you still have a job after starting the first fire. So congrats on that.
Yes.
So maybe almost like 3 times. So the first one was actually in hardware where someone needed rope burn. So he goes over, asks me, "Oh, I need this specific rope burn." Like, okay. And so I tried to burn it, but it didn't really go through. Because it's a little metal thing. It's like a scissor thing where you cut it. But this time it didn't cut the rope for some reason. I'm thinking, something's not right. So I keep pushing it through, and you can definitely see the smoke go up. And that usually doesn't happen. Usually it would just go straight through and you're like, all right, it's done. But this took forever. And so as I start to see the smoke rise, I thought, okay, no, I'm turning this off. So I turned it off and then I cut it. And so I stomped out the rest of the rope that's on like fire, well, not fire, but like smoked up. And then I gave it to the customer and I put back the rope.
Oh, no.
About 2 hours later,
oh no,
I get a call that says, "Hey, you need to be over in this specific aisle for a rope." Like, okay, another rope cut. I go over, and as I'm turning, I see the MOD trying to unlock a burning case of rope. Smoke everywhere. It looked like a fire was about to start. No one knew the combination, because at that point, they changed the combinations to a new combination.
Oh, no.
But that rope combination was the old combination, which I knew of, but never told anybody, unfortunately.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
So I told him, oh, no, it's the old one. And so he finally opened it up, grabbed the smoky rope, put it outside, and stomped it out.
Wow.
Well, talk about slow burn. First off, 2 hours.
Absolutely. Wow. So it was just like the embers were just kind of percolating there.
Yeah, you would.
Wrong word, but yeah.
I love that you genuinely are wreaking havoc to the store, and nobody is. You just make that job a lot more interesting, I think.
Yeah, and I would say, I could just tell, having never met this person, that they've got a great positive attitude in relaying this story. This seems like someone, listen, let's be honest here while we're giving the flowers. the guy's a liability to the store, but he is an asset to morale.
Yeah. Oh.
This seems like an awesome dude.
Yes.
Like, he just had such a likable, genuine energy.
Yeah.
Like, there was a smile that came through his voice as he was telling this story about this rope.
Yeah.
With the burning rope and the going through the thing. Also, side note, what do these people need this rope for? I want to know.
What are they getting rope for at Home Depot? Honestly.
Yeah. Like, I listen, I just hope they're not for public hangings. I just hope they're not for a town.
He could have stopped the public hanging.
I hope they're not like towns that are kind of off the grid.
Yeah.
And they say, we're going to conduct justice the old fashioned way.
Yeah.
Public hangings.
Yeah.
Then we will leave you hanging in town square. Like, you are someone who tried to raid our village in The Last of Us.
Yes, 100%. It could have been, it could have been a Last of Us town.
It could have been a Last of Us town.
It could have been a Last of Us
town.
town.
Like an off-the-grid Last of Us town.
100%. They could have been the arrows or whatever.
But then they have
the scars.
The scars. But then they have to go on the grid to buy their rope and
of course.
And their Dutch boy paint at Home Depot.
Kind of like the village.
Yes. But no, shout out and kudos to the hard-working fella who managed to keep his job because seems like a great dude.
Yeah. He really knows how to light up a room.
I don't doubt it. This is a friend of yours who will remain nameless.
Nameless for sure.
Yeah.
He's anonymous. Yeah, shout out. Thank you so much for that. And enjoy your flowers. But speaking of flowers, Hal, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been a goddamn delight.
Adam, right back at you. Takes one to know one. And, I feel like we spent so much time talking online through the pandemic. Right? It's always great to get to see you in person.
I know.
And just talk about our fathers and shoot the shit and watch some vids and get manly, bro.
Talk about toxic masculinity and talk about modern masculinity, brother. Man, it's been super, super fun. But before we head out, you got one more show coming up in Hollywood Fringe when this comes out. Is there one more quick pitch you would like the people at home to know about?
Well, I've really just put my heart and soul into this show, but it's also it's a dead dad comedy, and there's absolutely laughs throughout. And by the time the third show, I'm doing 3 shows. By the time the third one rolls around, this show is going to be piping hot, cooking with gas,
singing.
The steam is going to be coming off it. So
like that rope.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just excited to entertain however many asses are in those seats.
Heck yeah.
And that's what I love to do. You and me both. I know that's what it's about.
Gonna be working the crowd for sure.
Yep, having some fun.
The Broadwater?
The Broadwater main stage, Thursday, June 26th at 9:30 p.m. You can find it if you search Jersey Devil on HollywoodFringe.org.
Or they can find you at Hal Rudnick, right?
Yes.
On Instagram.
I will be posting about it incessantly. And I post about other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Also, June 26th are the News and Documentary Emmys.
Oh.
And my wife is nominated for an Emmy for the Hulu series that she produced, Mastermind.
Right. Yeah. And that'll be that's a big day for both of you.
Yeah. She has a good excuse for not attending my last show. She will be in New York for the Emmys. I wish I could be there with her, but I'll be hamming it up on stage.
Gotta love it. Well, thank you so much. You can follow me at Adam R. Mack, and make sure you come to my last show, which is just a few days after that on June 28th of the Hollywood Fringe for Macias. It's about my show, about how I cleaned up my messy ass life and talk about my crazy family, including my dad, and with their songs, dancing, all that fun stuff. There's a little bit of a pro wrestling element there. It's pretty crazy. But you can also follow this podcast at That Was Wild Pod for some fun clips. Well, we'll be roasting these motherfucking toxic motherfuckers on online.
Boom.
Just owning these people, and we might be posting some poetry along with some sick T-Rexes underneath it. Please go check that out. But Hal, we're going to end the show like we always do. We're going to look down the barrel of that camera right there and say that was wild on the count of 3. You ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
That was wild.
It's time to get wild.